I messed up. I made a mistake. And the thing about this one is I've made it before and I should have known better. And the other thing is I can almost guarantee that you've made this mistake and you might even be doing it right now. But if you don't fix it or you don't change it, it can really slow down your business and possibly even take you out completely. So the reason I'm making this video is so that if you are doing this, or if you have done this, or if you're going to do this, you become aware of it and you can snap out of it sooner and hopefully stay in business, unlike 98% of agents that come into this industry. So what is the mistake? What did I do that was so bad? The mistake that I made, that I see pretty much everybody else in this industry make at some point, is trying to figure this out on our own. And the reason that I say it's such a big issue or such a big problem is because it's just not supposed to be that way here. Like, it really shouldn't be. And here's why. See, we're in an industry. We're placed with somebody else who we call an upline or a manager, and their goal is to ensure your success, right? Is to give you the tools, the resources, the training, everything that you need in order to make this work. Yet, you're not an employee, right? You work on your own terms. You can build your own agency. You can hire whoever you want. You're growing your own business, but you have someone there to support you. And I don't really know of many other places where you can really do that. For example, if let's say you were a just true entrepreneur, right? Where you just completely started your own thing. Let's say, for example, starting your own clothing brand. You don't have anyone there to teach you how to do it unless you have like an outside mentor, or you pay somebody. Like, there's no place where you can go that I know of where it's like, okay, hey, I'm going to help you be successful along your entire business career or entrepreneurship journey. That's not really a thing, at least not as far as I know. Whereas here, the way that it works is you plug yourself in with a company that's already got a system, ideally, that works, that's duplicatable. And not only do you plug yourself in with the company, but there's usually going to be some form of hierarchy within that company that's sort of reminiscent of, the chain of command, as we call it in corporate, right? Sort of reminiscent of that, where you have a hierarchy of people, and the person that you plug yourself in with specifically, who becomes your manager or upline or sponsor, whatever you want to call it, that person's sole purpose is to help you succeed. So where am I going with all this? You shouldn't have to figure this out on your own, because there's somebody who is profiting from you succeeding. Therefore, their job is to make sure that you fucking succeed. So where did I make the mistake? I have been trying to figure out a bunch of stuff on my own. When I first started, my first couple months as an agent, I wasn't really like doing anything crazy. I was full time and I was, doing everything that I could to try to sell and make a living. But man, I sucked. I mean, and looking back, it was a couple other problems. I mean, I just wasn't doing enough. I felt like I was doing more than I was, and because I wasn't tracking my numbers. And actually, my last YouTube video, the podcast that I did with Roger, I talked all about that. But here's the thing. It took me about 9 months to get to the point where I went from, selling, let's say, like 6,000 or whatever it was a month to 30 grand in a month, and making an income 6 to 16 plus, in personal income every month. Why did it take me so long to get there? Because I didn't reach out for help soon enough. See, here's the thing. Roger, let's say in this example, knew about the, I'm going to call it, law of large numbers. I wasn't super familiar with that, right? Like, I didn't really understand that concept, or it was never really breaking down to me, or I don't want to say that. I'm just going to say I never had internalized it, right? And that was the bottleneck in my business at that point. That was the real issue. It wasn't so much my skill set, right? It was just the fact that I wasn't doing enough. If I would have just done more sooner, I would have made more money sooner, right? Now, when did that change? And I didn't really talk about this in the podcast. One day I go out to dinner with Roger. He invites me out just to kind of check in on me and kind of hang out. And at that dinner, I sort of open up to him. I say, man, I don't feel like I'm very good at this. I didn't sell much last week. And he goes, well, how many days did you go where you didn't sell anything? And I was like, dude, I went 2 days straight without selling anything. He went 2 days? Like, did you sell anything the rest of the week? I said, well, yeah. He goes, so you're fine. And so that was Like that might seem very minimal to you, but to me that was, I'm gonna say, life changing. Those couple seconds of the conversation, because it reframed things for me. What he did is reframed my perspective from, damn, I went 2 days without selling anything, I suck, to I sold 3 days out of 5. My stats are not as bad as they feel. And once I understood that, it's like, oh shoot, I feel worse than it actually is. When I caught on to that, that's what led me to start going, well, you know what? What if this whole thing, like, what if I'm just viewing everything incorrectly because I'm basing everything off of feelings? What if I start tracking everything so that I can look at things from a more logical perspective and, just a more accurate point of view? And so, long story short, I started tracking my numbers. It opened my eyes to how much I truly wasn't doing. And once I saw that, I simply did more because I saw how much more time I had on my hands than I had originally thought I had. And bam, right? That's what changed everything for me, just from that one conversation. Now, my point here is the reason that my life completely turned around, right? And the reason that I was able to go from $6,000 to $16,000 in income, seemingly overnight, is because I had a conversation with Roger, with someone who has more experience than I do. And I opened up about my situation, my frustrations, and my struggles. I opened up to him. He provided feedback. And then I took that feedback and did something with it. I implemented on it. I took action on it. And that completely changed my life. For some reason, I forgot that's how this works. And ever since then, I've tried to figure everything out completely on my own. So for example, one of the most recent problems that I've had is roll-up debt. If you're not an agency owner, basically the way that it works is if you take on downlines and, maybe they sell a couple of policies, but they don't really do much, and then they leave and they have chargebacks that they don't pay back, as the agency owner, you end up having to pay that shit back. And I didn't fucking know that. I found out because I had to pay a bunch of shit back that wasn't mine, right? And I'm like, damn. So, and by the way, as an agency owner, if you're starting to grow a team, be aware of that, right? Be careful. The whole recruit model doesn't get that shit out of your head. It only works for the people at the very top because they don't absorb all that debt. Anyway, that's a different video another day. My point is, had I maybe continued to check in regularly, had I been proactively, or actively reaching out to, let's say, Roger, for example, and saying, hey, can we have a conversation this week or this month? I want to just, if you can just look at my business, make sure I'm on the right path, make sure that, this is good, this is good. If I would have reached out to have him check on my stuff, right, as I'm growing the team, let's say, for example, as my sales grow, as my agency grows, maybe, just maybe, we could have prevented that from happening. Maybe it would have come up in conversation going, hey, I'm noticing there's people are leaving your agency, and I'm noticing this person, for example, left and hasn't paid any of their, chargebacks back. Do you understand what happens? Like maybe that could have come up, right? But it didn't. And the thing is, I can easily, point fingers and go, damn, I wish Roger would have reached out. And by the way, let me clarify something. He's not my upline. He's not responsible for me in that way. I do want to clarify that. So I don't believe it's his responsibility to, and I just want to make that very clear. But someone could easily point fingers, right? And go, well, like someone should have told me this. Someone should have told me about this. And I did think that, for a little bit. But then I took a look inside and I realized, why didn't I ever like reach out, like proactively go, hey, I need help. I just need someone to check up on me, to, keep track of my stuff for me because I don't know what I don't know. And well, what ended up happening is, funny enough, Roger had actually reached out just a few weeks ago, and he said, hey, it's been a while. I just want to check in on you, see how you're doing. Let's meet up on Zoom, because I moved away from Kentucky. That's when I used to live close to Roger. I moved over there so I could be close and all that stuff. But I've recently moved to Vegas. Anyway, so he said, yeah, let's meet up over Zoom. Let's catch up a little bit. And so we meet up, and yeah, we start, first getting into like personal stuff, just kind of, he's just checking in. And then he looks into my business and goes, whoa. And I go, yeah. And so now, long story short, we're going to be having regular check-ins, in which I think is awesome and I appreciate it. But again, so I had a problem, a pretty big problem in my business, and it could have been avoided had I proactively reached out to somebody in that hierarchy, right, in that chain of command, let's just call it, for help. But I didn't. I don't know why I didn't. I guess I didn't want to bug him. right? Because he's got a lot going on. He's got a whole hierarchy, to look out for. I'm not direct to him. So I just didn't feel like it was appropriate, I guess. I didn't feel like I was worth it. So I'm here to tell you, fuck that. Like, fuck that, dude. Get the help that you need. Get the support that you need. Here's the thing. Your immediate upline should be the one providing that support. They should be reaching out, right? And checking in on you. That's what they should be doing. However, should doesn't really fucking exist. There's a lot of things that we should do. There's a lot of things I should have done, but didn't do, right? It is what it is. So you can't rely on that. If your upline is not actively reaching out to you, checking in on you, coaching you, then you request it, right? Be adamant about it. If you don't get the support you're supposed to be getting from your upline, my advice is to get the fuck out of there ASAP. Because again, it's their fucking, it's their job. Like that's what they're supposed to do. Make them earn their overrides. Like, don't be shy. And here's the thing. If you fail, so let's say the chart, like the roll-up thing, for example, understand that if you fail, they're actually going to suffer because of it, right? Like if you have a bunch of chargebacks and then you leave, they're going to suffer. So it is in their best interest to help you, to make sure that you succeed. Right? And the thing is, if you do succeed under their leadership, well, then they get to profit from it. So that's just make them earn it, right? Bring that up. If you're not getting the support, bring that up. Hey, listen, if I win, you win. If I lose, you lose. So let's do this, right? You already brought me in. We're already working together. So help me, help me figure out what I'm supposed to do. Now, this is why in another video, I talked about the importance of making sure that you pick the right upline. Matter of fact, it was my very first video that I ever made. Right? Because I see that's one of the biggest problems or mistakes that new agents make. This is why. Most of the time, you're kind of locked in. Can you transfer over to another agency? Sure, but it's not as easy as it sounds. Like there's a lot of friction that goes on there. So if you're new, make sure you pick your upline, properly, right? Do a ton of research. If you are not new and if you're already, with a group, whatever, make sure you're getting your money's worth. Because that's another thing is you are paying for that mentorship. You're paying in the form, and I know they don't want to paint it this way sometimes, but you're paying in the form of that lower comp. Because here's the thing, if you have to figure it out on your own anyway, you might as well be getting paid more. You might as well eliminate whatever spread there is above you since you're having to figure it out all on your own anyway. So my message today, it's a short one, is make sure you're getting support where you're at. Make sure you're getting it from your upline. Make sure you're getting it from the group, the community, right? You can also, seek it out in the community that you're in, right? Usually it's not just you that's inside of some kind of agency or group, right? You can always reach out to other people. I would also suggest networking, right? Make sure you're going to whatever events you can, even online communities maybe, building relationships with high level trainers and producers so that you can leverage that relationship to learn what they're really doing. Because like I said, this is a place where you don't need to figure it out all on your own. Don't try to. And if you're in a place where you feel like you have to, then you're in the wrong place. Because like I said, I was trying to figure things out on my own, but I didn't have to. I really didn't. And so I'm making this video to remind you of that. Ask for help. If you're not getting the help that you need, ask for it, actively seek it out. And if you're still not getting it, just leave. Go somewhere else. Now, here's the thing. I don't want this message to be misinterpreted as if I'm promoting or condoning the shiny object syndrome deal where, those agents that bounce from one place to the next, to the next, to the next. And it's like they're with a new agency every freaking year. And they keep on blaming leadership and leads and everything else but themselves. How do you know when you're truly not getting support? Here's how you know. First, again, you have to pick your upline carefully. That's number one. Once you're there, you're there. So you might as well commit to doing the things that they tell you to do because you've already picked that leader. Okay, so that's number one. So make sure you pick the right one. Once you're there, like I said, so number two, do what they're telling you to do. Just do it. Don't question it too much, as crazy as it might sound, because again, you picked that place, right? You should have done your due diligence before that. You're already there, so just do what they're telling you to do. No matter how scary, no matter whatever it is, just do it. 3, measure. Make sure you track everything. Make sure that you're carefully monitoring your input and your output, your activity and your results. Because step 4 is going to be to read that data. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to say, okay, my upline told me to do this. I did this. If what you did is exactly what they said to do, then okay, cool, you're in the clear. Now let's look at the results. Did I get the results that I was promised? Like if your upline said, hey, if you do ABC, you're going to get X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, I did ABC. I did my part, right? And this only works if you truly did your part. right? Like on a long enough time horizon too. You can't just do it for a week or two. It's got to be at least a few months. So now you can say, okay, I did A, B, and C. Did I get X, Y, and Z? Did I get what they promised me? If the answer is no, and you can see on paper that you truly did what they told you to do, it's probably time you pick a new upline. But see, this is advice that I wish I would have got because I spent way too much time at the wrong place. And a lot of these places will brainwash you, right? With the whole winners never quit and quitters never win, or whatever the fuck they say. I'm here to tell you that's bullshit, dude. Like, there's not ultra successful entrepreneurs that had multiple failed businesses when they started, right? Like, it's okay to learn what you got to learn and move on. But this, what I've learned, is how you do it. This is how you avoid staying in a place that you just shouldn't be, that's not working out, but also avoiding the whole shiny object syndrome bullshit where you're just jumping from one place to the next and repeating the same process and never really accomplishing anything. This is sort of the balance that I found. So I don't know. I hope this helps you. Maybe you've done this before. Maybe you're doing it now. Maybe you're going to do it in the future. Right? So I just hope you keep this video at the top of your mind, and hopefully it saves you from years of misery. Because that's where a lot of people end up when they don't know how to do this properly. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.